is up, everybody? Welcome to the Burndown YouTube channel. We've pulled the power plant out of the Malibu. If you've been following along on the channel, you know that we just got the transmission rebuilt and done. We had some struggles and issues, but of course now that that seems to be working properly, the next logical thing you want to do before you go on a drag and drive that is less than 20 days away is pull your engine apart, break it all down, and put bearings and everything in it, right? You take apart a good running car, and why not? Because you got thousands of miles to drive and fun to be had. But in reality, if you have followed along long enough, or maybe you're new, I had, or have, I should say, an oiling issue to where the oil pressure comes up, and then at a certain point it starts to fall off, and then at the stripe at like 7 grand is where my car lives, usually on a quarter-mile pass. We're making like 50 psi. Granted, I've had some people say it's not a big deal. I've had people say that I had a motor doing that, and I pulled it apart and bearings looked good and everything was good. And technically the rods have stayed in the car, but it just doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy. And when you trailer your car, you know, 1,000 miles plus away to go race, and on day one you unload it and the thing kicks rods or does something dumb, you're like, man, I probably should have done that before I got out here and do a little maintenance. So what I'm assuming I did was last year, I put a high pressure pump in it, and then I put the Copo spring, and then to make even more pressure, because I thought that, you know, we'll just do all the pressure all at once, because, you know, I'm a genius like that, because I don't know what I'm doing. We ran the Rotella, and I think it was like 1540 or whatever it was, right? So the diesel oil, all of that combined, it was all way out of whack, probably really incorrect. And I think that made the pump the pan out. I think I made it half a pass before luckily the transmission died, because if the transmission didn't die, maybe we wouldn't have had oil and we would have kicked the motor instead of the transmission. So I don't know how that saga would have ended up, but we put the other transmission in it, started paying attention to oil pressure, and it was falling off on the big end, so we put an extra quart in the car. That seemed to help a bit, but ever since it's just been like a thorn in my side. The rods have stayed in. We did LS Fest West, but even then I was like, I just didn't feel good about driving and making pass after pass in the car. And when you're out there at a drag and drive event, I don't have a choice. Yeah, you have to drag it and drive it. Granted, I wouldn't have to make a bunch of drag passes, but you still got to drive it on the street for 1,000 miles plus. So it is not easy on a vehicle, and I don't want to I'd rather take a vehicle where I know stuff's fresh, I know the oil pressure is good, and we have this much time left, and I'm hoping that the hot rod gods are nice to me this time. Stars align that we get this thing running again, and possibly at least get a day of testing in at Irwindale before we load it up and head out to the big show. I still have maintenance and other things to do, but that's enough yapping. Let's break this thing down, see what kind of condition it's in. I'll show you guys as we go. But all in all, it was a good running motor. I don't really have any issues. We do have some upgrades though, because we were swapping out the Chinese head studs that I put on here 3 different times. I finally just don't feel good about trying to tighten them down for like a 4th time, to some ARP, and we've got all new bearings. So let's yank her apart, see how she looks. Figured this is a good stopping point. I'm sure everybody wanted to see what it looked like. So looks like we need to send this thing a little harder, knock some of the stuff off the old pistons. But yeah, all in all, I mean, everything, this is a good working motor, so I don't really see nothing too terribly exciting, which is good. That's always a good sign. Lifters, everything's pretty happy for the most part. The only guy was this guy. Had a little bit of wear. This is that oiling plate where the cam, you know, kind of pushes against it. So, but ultimately, I'm not terribly concerned. It's not like it was getting all super froggy. It just knocked a little bit of the coating off. So, little tiny groove, but eh. Oh, and then this one, I don't like that, so we're gonna address that. But this is the fitting that goes to my accumulator, and then look at how much it squeezes down, because I had this on there when I threaded that in. So we're gonna cut that fitting, so that way this whole area can go in there, because it chokes it down pretty good. So we will address that before this goes back on for sure. And then we'll look at the oil pan passages and stuff as well. But let's pull the rotating assembly out. I'll just do that real quick and then find a spot to put all the junk and we'll show you guys. So let me clean this off, go kind of put this away, I think over here, make some room for it, and then we will do the rotating assembly. We got her all broken down and we got nothing but good news, so I'm excited about that. So first off, just pulling these rods out, man, and they look good. Like you can see there's a coating. It looks like a little bit of garbage, but I mean, they're all, I mean, these things are basically new, right? I mean, you can just, a little bit of garbage, but I mean, that's the original coating. So that one looks like it got some action. But I mean, not that bad, right? Well, you come over to the main bearings. This is where the party happens. So I pulled this one. This is number 2. Had this nice groove here, and I'm like, we put something through this thing. This one had a little action, and then you know, it's kind of shiny. And then this is our winner right here. So it looks like the King main bearings did their job. They picked up the schmutz or whatever, but yeah, this is a deep groove there. The crank itself looks fine, thankfully. And then this got some action too. So, bada boom, bada bing. And the rest of those aren't so bad. And then here's number 2 again. So, you can look down in there, see the cam bearings, but also these are the thin cam bearings. I think somebody mentioned that when I put them in. See how thin that is width-wise? So this is supposed to have, they have a different bearing now that's fatter, right? So you can't really tell cam bearings by looking at them. And then the wear is going to be mostly on the bottom because of the weight. But again, I'm assuming that this is probably a lot of the issue between these 2 dudes, but mainly this thing. This is bad. So again, we'll clean up the crank. I looked at it, like I said, I just wiped it off, and there's nothing that jumped out like, oh my god, there's no nail or not even lines or anything on it. So I think these triple XP bearings did their job. That's what they're supposed to do: collect the trash, keep it off your expensive parts, and then you replace these. So that is awesome. I feel good about that. So we'll knock the new cam bearings in, we'll put the new mains, and then I'm gonna mark these rod bearings and save these guys, because those are good enough, man. I'll stuff those something else. Maybe the Pacer or something will get those, because there ain't nothing wrong with those in my opinion. But those mains, they gotta go in the garbage. And then we got the thin cam bearings, so we'll swap those out too. So that is it. Thank you for following along. I'm excited. I'll triple check this crank, make sure it's good. If not, we'll have to have it polished up before we slam it in. You guys know what to do. Till next time, I'm out.